Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty wild, a platform that wants to redefine online stardom by turning social capital, influence, into a real tradable asset.
You see this question all the time, right? Is being an influencer a real career? Well, for the millions of people actually creating content every day, this isn't some abstract debate. It's their reality. And honestly, it's a reality filled with a ton of uncertainty.
And that uncertainty boils down to a few key things. You've got inconsistent income, opportunities that are all over the place, and fans who, well, they're mostly passive. It's this constant struggle to turn passion and followers into an actual, stable profession.
All right, so let's get into what's being called the creator's dilemma. Before we can really get our heads around the solution FameMint is offering, we've got to look at the old model and figure out why it's just not working for so many people.
So this really lays it all out. The traditional creator economy, it's heavily dependent on ads and sponsorships, which means your monthly income can be all over the map. Monetization is just completely out of reach for most creators starting out. And this last point is key. Fans are treated like passive consumers, not real partners in the creator's journey. It's hard to track real growth when the system is set up like this.
So if that's the old way, what's the new way? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Imagine a total shift in thinking. Imagine if your social capital, your influence, your community, all that stuff became a real, tangible asset, something you and your followers could actually invest in.
And that's where something called social tokens come in. This is the big idea powering this whole new economy. The easiest way to think about it, it's like a creator issuing their own personal stock. It's a digital asset that anyone can buy, and it represents a little piece of that creator's brand and their future potential.
And this comparison just spells it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the old model, ads, sponsorships, passive fans. But on the right, in this new model, you've got direct fan investment. Fans aren't just consuming content anymore. They're actively participating. Income isn't so volatile because it's a diversified stream. It's a huge shift from being paid by platforms to being invested in by your own community.
So FameMint has a pretty bold vision for this. They call it the Web3 Nasdaq for creators. I mean, that's a big statement, right? The idea is to be a totally transparent, open marketplace, basically a stock exchange, but for influence. Now, of course, when you frame it like a market, you also have to accept the risks and the volatility that come along with that.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does it actually work? Let's walk through the actual process on the platform, both for a creator and for a fan who wants to invest. It's actually pretty straightforward, broken down into 5 steps. First, a creator gets onboarded. They verify their social media and launch their own personal token. Then, for users, there's a discovery phase where you can browse the marketplace and find creators you think are going to be big. Step 3 is investment. You can buy, trade, and track those tokens. Then you've got leaderboards that show all the real-time stats. And all of this creates this amazing feedback loop between creators and the people who are literally invested in them.
And the whole thing is built on a foundation of transparency and trust. Underneath it all, it's using Web3 technology. What that basically means is that every single transaction, every stat is recorded on a secure public ledger, a blockchain. The whole point of that is to make sure everything is out in the open to build that trust.
All right, so who actually benefits from this? For an ecosystem like this to really work, it can't just be good for the creators or good for the fans. It has to be a win-win. So let's look at what's in it for both sides.
And this table breaks it down nicely. Look at the benefits for influencers: a more predictable income, way more fan loyalty, and real-time tracking of their own net worth. And for the users or investors, you get to invest early in talent you believe in, you get total market visibility, and you get to be an active part of their growth. But, and this is super important to remember, investing here is just like any other market. It carries risk. A creator's token can absolutely go down in value, not just up.
Yeah, real-time visibility into the creator economy, that's not just some marketing slogan. It's a core feature. Having that transparent, live data is what takes this whole idea from just a cool concept and turns it into a serious, functioning market.
And here's a taste of what that actually looks like. You can imagine a live leaderboard, just like a stock ticker. You can see the creator's name, their current token price, and their total market cap. It's basically the financial pulse of the creator world, giving you a really clear picture of how they're valued in this new economy.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does all of this mean for the future of stardom? What's the real big picture takeaway here?
Well, what FameMint is really trying to do is democratize monetization. It empowers everyone, from the biggest influencers down to micro-influencers with a super dedicated following.
It drives deeper engagement because fans aren't just fans anymore, they're stakeholders, financially and emotionally. But we have to be realistic here. This model isn't a magic bullet. It brings up some tough new questions, like the pressure on creators to keep their stock price up, and the fact that the rules and regulations for these kinds of digital assets are, well, they're still being written.
So really, the biggest takeaway here is that FameMint is trying to transform how creators and their communities grow together. The idea is that influence is no longer just about likes and views. It's about creating and sharing real, quantifiable, and tradable value with the very community that supports you.
And that brings us to the final, powerful question this whole platform raises. What is your influence worth? FameMint's answer is that it's probably worth a lot more than you think. It leaves every single creator and every fan with that question to chew on. In a truly open market, what's the real price of influence?